mentioned, it's at this point that we discuss housing in relation to cost of living, and we've all had the hashtag lower food prices, but for a moment we've not probably had so much about the housing aspect. You know, people have for a moment forgotten that, you know, they probably are renting houses, and you know, it's all difficult, and we have looked so much so at the aspect of food, but you know, just how then is housing connected to making sure that, you know, it's a favorable space for people to exist, especially when we're talking about the cost of living. And joining us for this conversation is Mizizi Africa Homes CEO, that is George Mburu, who will help us expound of what importance it would be to have your housing side in order and how hugely it comes in to create a balance, especially when economic times are tough. And so, George, thank you so much for creating time. We have been talking about hashtag lower food prices, but you know, in the hashtag, when you get to see how Kenyans are complaining and what they are saying, a majority of them are also complaining about the fact that, you know, the cost of houses are extremely high. Today, to rent a house, you know, a decent house, one that would be enough for family, is you know, outrageous to even imagine in terms of the prices and all that. So many have that desire and wish to have their own homes, but that becomes even more of a nightmare. So when we're talking about cost of living in the country, just how well or how is this connected to, you know, proper housing or housing at large?
Yeah, thank you very much. And for sure, you have correctly put that there has been that call for the reduction of cost of living.
Yeah.
And when you are talking of cost of living, is cost of living, as the word says. It is living. And basically, all of us, we are looking to live and also for our children to grow.
Yeah.
And you'll find that most of our expenses, and when you're talking about cost of living, there's also the aspect you have touched of rent. Because cost of living is the bills that you have to pay as a person. And there is rent, there is food, and there are other things, transportation, and what have you. And now the question is, we all agree, the cost of living, we do not even need to debate that the cost of fuel has skyrocketed.
Yeah.
The cost of bread has skyrocketed. The cost of sugar, basic needs. The cost of actually something like cooking oil,
right,
which has really gone very high. The cost of flour, all these things, for sure you agree, they have really skyrocketed. And also, when you're looking at these things, you also have other expenses like paying rent. So you can imagine being bombarded by all these cost of food, cost of transportation, going to your workplace, and also getting food. All those pressures are things that are bringing people very down. And these are things now that people are seeing the reality.
Yeah.
Like for us, Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, we have been talking about the importance of having your own home. You'll be surprised that the people who have their own homes, they are not paying rent. Yes, the cost of living has affected them in one way, but it is not as much as somebody who has to think about food, and at the end of the day, they have to think about paying rent.
And you know, many of them, if you would listen around, they would tell you, if only I could get someone who would pay my rent.
Yeah.
I think I'd be able to manage the other things. I think I can visit George one of the evenings and have dinner there and not have to worry about food. I think I can go to the next person and have dinner there and figure it out until I am well balanced. And so when we're talking about housing, it appears to be even the hardest, you know, of all these things that we think about anytime that we're thinking about the skyrocketing cost of living.
Yeah, the issue of housing and affordable housing, and basically people not paying rent, because when many people have homes, basically even the cost of rent is going to go down because the supply will be much more. So this discussion that we are having also brings very clearly the importance of housing. People have been hearing about housing. It's important to have a house, and the issue of corona and the current world where we are living, like there is a war, it has brought some of these things that were being discussed, but they were not being seen as very important. Now people are realizing it is very important. And for sure, we need now to plan from the lessons that we have learned. We have learned for sure houses are important. Yes, food is important, but there is that basic, like having your own shelter. If you have your own shelter, and even people, if many people are housed, like right now, we would not be having so much stress, because when you're thinking only about food, there's not so much pressure, because you are thinking about food. Yes, I have my own house. I can get a small shamba. I can plant my own kales. I do not even have to buy. And people will have even more innovative ways of looking for food. People will be able to, if fertilizer, the cost of fertilizer has gone down, so up, people will be able to think, maybe we can use other natural manures there, cow dung and what have you. And at the end of the day, you'll find that the issue of food will not be such a big problem. You have your own house, you have your outside compound out there, or for example, like Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, we are doing flat roofs. You have the whole upstairs. You can plant it, you can make it your garden. Assuming you have so much stress, you need food. You can have those bags, their bags, you plant your kales. So you now look for the flour.
Right.
And you know you can go to the posh mill, you just need maize. Yeah, life will not be so difficult. And when you are that level, you not have stress even looking for children's school fees. Right. You'll be somebody who is more free despite everything, because at the end of the day, this is a phenomenon that is not only affecting us as Kenyans. And for sure, the corona has taught us one thing: the whole world and even the war, we are facing common challenges.
That's true.
So our help will only come from ourselves, and realizing some of the most important things, things that, for example, we have been talking about, like the importance of having your own home, whereby you are not paying rent. These things now will become the debate, so people will be able to focus. Because when we are focusing on those important things, these other things which are now really pressing us, we'll be able to handle.
Okay, well, before we even come to know how affordable it can get and whether this is realizable, you have mentioned Corona, and I remember the first times that this hit the country. The president was working on some subsidies, was working on some waivers, even including the tax and, you know, reprieves and all that. But if there's anything that was a task for the president to be able to negotiate on behalf of the people, was on the aspect of rent. I remember there were instances where, you know, the public was pushing him to say, declare that landlords will not ask for rent anymore, declare that, you know, they would reduce that by half, at least let's have a reduction. And while the government attempted to do that, you know, there was a lot of resentment that faced it. And, you know, landlords said, no, this is now our only ways of survival. You cannot tell us to reduce this. You cannot tell us to stay with these people in our homes or in our houses without them having to pay for rent and all that. It was quite a hard task. So that probably proves to us that, you know, housing is not as cheap as it is, or it has been purported to be an expensive affair. Maybe that's the reason why most of the Kenyans will tell you that every time they get a job, what do they think of first? How they will get their own houses. But in real sense, there are people who work for years and years without, you know, successfully achieving this. Why is it that housing appears to be quite an expensive affair by the day?
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. You will appreciate their laws of nature and of economics, e.g. demand and supply. Yeah. The issue of housing is an issue of demand and supply. If, for example, and by extension price, if, for example, the government says reduce prices and you are forced, reduce prices, they put a ceiling, put it at that. That landlord may opt, I'm not going to rent it out. Let it stay, it is mine, let it stay. Because at the end of the day, maybe that landlord had taken a loan. So he'll say, as opposed I give somebody a house that I'm paying for rent and it is not actually giving me a return, because you'll find that even landlords, some of them are business people, and some of them are people who have been given loans by the bank. They are servicing loans. So you force them, you tell me my house, once I do my calculations, I need to repay my loan in 10 years, so I need to charge my rent this and this price. Then you come and tell me, no, as opposed to that, charge this one, so I'll pay the loan in 20 years. So which for me doesn't make sense. So I'll feel, instead of doing that, let me just close them. Automatically, there will be somebody who needs that house. There is that demand. They will be forced to come and occupy. So some of these things, as much as they are good, and when people are calling upon maybe the government, they're almost impractical, because it's an issue of demand and supply. So if the demand is so high, the supply also is down. Also the issue of cost of our price comes in because there are no houses.
I am surprised that you say there are no houses, yet there's Mizizi Africa Homes. There are houses, structures shooting up every day. And I mean, in comparison to what was there back then, you move from this point to that point, there's a house shooting up. From that point to that point, there are flats coming up every day. I mean, it is interesting to argue that the demand is higher than the supply actually in the market today.
Yeah, thank you very much. You will note that there is a statistic that was done that said that already in the country we have a deficit of 2 million houses, and which was what necessitated the issue of Big Four agenda, and housing being one of them. Already we have a deficit of 2 million. And every year, because of increase in population, movement to urban areas, it is increasing by 200,000 units. So we want to appreciate the part like Mizizi Africa Homes Limited is playing, but it is a drop in the ocean because the need is so much. It is like having rain in a desert. Once you are rain in the desert and a few drops come, within a few minutes, you will not even notice. So the demand of houses is very high. There is a deficit of 2 million units, and every year 200,000 units. So you can imagine if that was done in 2017, already that is almost 5 years down the line. So the 200 every year times 5, that is 1 million. So already now as we stand, the deficit is at 3 million houses, affordable houses. And what has the government delivered? Maybe a few thousands. People like we, Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, what have we delivered? A few hundreds. Another real estate company, a few. So what we need to do is to increase because the demand is quite big. And we can look at an example of a place like Dubai. Dubai was once a, excuse me, was once a desert. So once there is a problem, that is a starting point to looking for a solution. So for sure we have said affordable housing and homes can be a solution to some of these problems that you are facing, like the issue you are talking about of cost of commodity. So if we focus with this, it can be able to give us a solution. And you will notice that affordable housing, it is not only about the people who are not paying rent and who are having homes. This is about even people who are Kenyans living in the diaspora, remitting back their money here in our country, and by so doing, stabilizing our Kenyan currency, because at the end of the day, we all need to look out at all these other factors. We need to stabilize our Kenyan shillings, so that then the issue of inflation does not hit us very hard. Because you can imagine we have a high cost of living as we stand. Imagine now our Kenyan shillings weaken so much. There is so much inflation that will be now another big challenge. So we need to make hay while the sun shines. Yes, this issue of housing, we have not looked at it very seriously, and it's something that can affect even all these other spheres of life, including employment, including manufacturing, because when you are constructing, you are using steel, you are using iron sheets, steel, everything, cement. It is affecting all these other spheres. Now we need to have a sitting, because for sure we are seeing the impact. If this lack of housing continues, for sure you are going to be living in a very hard economic times.
Why do we still have this lacking? And like I have started by saying, most of the people who even get into the job space will always get there, into business space, they will always get there. The first thing they're thinking about is not that beautiful car. The first thing they're thinking about is, how do I get my small piece of land? How do I even set up a mabati structure? You know, I start there while I try to amass more money so I can set up, you know, a permanent structure.
Thank you very much. You will notice that previous years, we were more planned. We had more plans. Because we find when actually land was being subdivided, and we'll go to places like Kiambu, and you'll notice people are being given land for farming. Then at somewhere at the center, you are given a plot for you to construct a house. Because people, our forefathers, which is something we can emulate, they were looking at the importance of having a home and as well as having land for farming, because again, agriculture is very important. Now what we need to do is very proper planning. like the counties, they have been given the role of coming up with demarcating areas that people can develop. These things now need to come to the forefront because we have seen the problems. People are having no food. So people are going haphazardly constructing all over. There are no certain good structures. We need to borrow a leaf from what we used to do for our forefathers. We have land that is set for agricultural. Then we have land that is set to plots for constructing, and people are encouraged. Once you get your first job, it is even like obvious. You should be able to construct your small house. And at the same time, we do not live we do not construct haphazardly, such that we have maybe homes all over, a home here, no land for cultivation and what have you, because at the end of the day, also food is very important. And once we meet this basic need of housing and food, that is now when we can now start enjoying the luxuries of cars. That is when now the issue of cars come in. That is where the issue of having maybe a nice luxurious homes. And if we do not settle this basic, for sure, even enjoying the luxurious will be
difficult. And true to it, we've had this phase of President Uhuru Kenyatta's government, and now you speak of the Big Four. And we know how much they have had strategies and policies of engaging the game players so that this dream is realized. They say that we have somehow made strides, but not to the level that it was expected. And so we have we are in the moment of politics, and it is being looked at as elections of economics or economic elections. And so every player of the industry, you know, regardless of what sector we're talking about, is keen to see how the political space will shape up, and most importantly, how it will augur down to the, you know, stability, financial stability of the nation. As the industry player in this world of housing, what are your expectations? Are you positive with the kind of narratives that are being sold out here in terms of growing the economies, and we understand how hugely housing then would contribute to that growth?
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. You will appreciate the fact that from what we have learned is that we, the people, need now to take charge. Over the years, we have always put our trust and blame game to the politicians, and saying the politicians need to do this, they should have done this, they should have done this. But for sure, our leaders and the people we elect, they should be there to serve our interest. What I can encourage Kenyans, we have, even with our constitution, our 2010 constitution, we the people, we have the power. What I can encourage the people is, now let us start having a debate that is away from the politicians. If these people, we elect them and they are not doing as we expect, there is no need even for waiting for 5 years. If somebody, we have given you a certain position and we expect you to do A, B, C, D, and for you, you believe that once you get in, it is a comfort zone until now the last period of the campaigns, now you come back home, you'll be surprised. Most of the people that are elected, even in the counties, they do not even reside in their own counties. Somebody was elected, people will see him after 5 years. He has been living his life, doing his businesses, and continue with his life. He's not serving the people. So people, the interest of the people is not being done. So because these conversations we have started, and for sure we have seen, the only solution can come from us, the people. It is now upon us. We start discussing, we start putting our political leaders to giving them to task, asking the hard questions, and for sure they are going also to reform. If they see we people we have educated, there's that saying that mwerevu mjinga akirevuka, mwerevu ako mashakani. So for the past years, politicians wamekuwa ndio werevu. Even when the money comes, some of it, there is an issue of corruption going to the pockets of people. But now, mjinga sasa, who is us, the people, who we have been relying on these people, now we take it upon ourselves. For sure, things are going to change. And mwerevu, itabidi sasa, akue dance to our tune.
Okay, I mean, the only way this is possible is for us to be aware, to understand the available opportunities in the market, to understand policies, to understand how things are done, and to actively be involved. And so many will tell you they shy away from, you know, being involved because of lack of knowledge.
Sure.
And now that we have narrowed down into housing, you as a player, what are some of the options that are available?
Sure.
So that, or such that when we're talking about, you know, affordable housing, it just doesn't appear as a pipe dream,
Sure.
doesn't appear as, you know, all this is fantasy. And, you know, even those ones that probably are on the lowest cadre of a salary can confidently say that, you know what, the future is bright. There are chances that I could own a home.
Sure.
It doesn't matter, you know, how long it takes, but, you know, there are small efforts that are available that create that space for me to own a house.
Sure. Yeah, thank you very much. And for sure, information is power. And some of this information, some of the times, we are given half-baked information.
Okay.
I'll give an example of housing and the issue of off-plan housing. Off-plan housing is whereby people come together, they have a common goal to own a home. So those people, they are brought together by a developer. For example, we Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, we bring on board different people from different walks of life who have different sources of income, different cultures and what have you, but they have one common goal and one desire of having a home. And since they are working, they are busy, they do not have the time to go start looking for that parcel of land that is affordable, do all the searches, involve the professionals involved. So that is where now the developer, like we Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, comes to play. But you find that the previous years, because of not having proper information, you find people shy away from things like off-plan. And this is because other people now see the need and the desperation for those people. They also tend to take advantage. They channel that money to their own personal needs. There is also like the issue of corruption. But you will find that if this information is disseminated in the correct way, and people are told the importance of like off-plan, and off-plan, it is only that the developer is bringing these people from different spheres. You will find that even people like Boda Boda, we have seen people, Boda Boda, you have your 50, you contribute, at the end of the day you buy a parcel of land, you subdivide. So it's about unity, having people coming, joining together. So like the issue of affordable housing is an issue. It's not about anything else. It's about having people who have a common desire coming together from different walks of life. So you can even decide if you are a people, you are maybe united, even circles. Circles is about people who are united by maybe a common employer or a common goal. They contribute, and you will find that that is how people have grown, even farmers. That is how they were able to grow. They come together, small resources, they build something. So some of these things that are maybe painted in bad light, yes, it's just like blaming the missionaries who brought the Bible. For sure, the Bible is very good and it enlightened us. But we keep on blaming the missionaries. The missionaries came and colonized us. And what have you? You are putting the blame on the wrong thing. Look at the bigger picture, like off-plan. If people can do it in the proper manner, if people can be transparent, if you can come together, it's something good. But because one maybe rogue person or a few, a small number have tarnished it, everybody now runs away from it. So I can encourage the issue of plan and people coming together. These are a problem, as we have said. Even Mizizi Africa Homes Limited alone, even with whichever capacity, is not able to meet that need. 3 million houses is so big. Yeah, so everybody needs to play their part at whichever capacity. Let this information be passed on. People need to be transparent and trustworthy. If you are coming together, let's say people who are working here at TV47, we decide we'll be having a kitty from our small salary, we put there, at the end of the day, we need to buy a parcel of land, we subdivide, we construct. That is something that is commendable, and somehow it's off plan because you did not have the money. Because even the government at the moment, the houses they are constructing, it's not that they have the money. It's that people are being told you can be contributing something small. In the long run, many people will have homes.
That's true.
Yeah, so dissemination of information is very important. Very important.
I'm sure there are many other options that would be at our disposal, just that we probably are not keen to watch. And, you know, that's the reason why you have to check out on, you know, entities like that of Mizizi and see what can, you know, come in handy for you. you, of course, based on what it is that you earn. And, you know, information is power. Sometimes you could not be having money right now, but because you have this information in no time or in due time when there's money coming your way, then at least you have an idea of where to start from. So how do they get a hold of Mizizi Africa as we come to a close?
Thank you very much. And for sure, I can encourage everybody, even the customers we have sold to, they are not people who had big chunks of money. They had the desire, and like when you come to Mizizi Africa Homes Limited, you pay an initial deposit, then the balance as we do the construction, you pay. So it's not about accumulating huge monies, it's about having that desire and taking the initiative. You have the desire, take the initiative. You can have the desire, not take the initiative. So we welcome you to Mizizi Africa Homes Limited. You come, we join hands so that we can make the dream of housing a possibility, affordable housing. And when we have affordable housing, for sure some of these other things that are hitting us, cost of living, we are going to be able to come out of it unharmed. So to get to us, you can give us a call on 020 790 2215. That is 020 790 2215. You can send us an email on info@miziziafricahomes.com, and you can visit us at our offices opposite Sarir Center in Westlands, and in all our social media platforms, Mizizi Africa Homes Limited. You are much welcome. We interact more, and it's a pleasure to have this opportunity.
Once again, thank you so much, George. And, you know, just looking at housing in relation to the high cost of living that many complain about, and you will agree with me, speak to friends that own houses. In most cases, the pressure is not as much as it is for a majority of us who rent or still struggle to pay for the place or the shelter or the place they call shelter on a monthly basis. It's pretty much of an, you know, breather and a breeze if you would imagine to take this direction. Sometimes it could appear hectic, it could be heavy on you, but as you work with specialists and the people who understand the game, you just never know. It could be a game changer. It could be that breather that you've been longing for. And, you know, it is available, it is there. So as we complain, let's also derive mechanisms of making sure that we protect ourselves without having to wait for the government. George Boro, thank you so much for speaking to us. And as well, thank you so much for being part of this conversation. So much of feedback, but because of time, we'll not be able to go through the same. We cross over to a different matter. That is as we get to hit the gym after this break.